I could ask everybody to give a warm round of applause for our second Alex, who's going to be doing using MCP and LLMs to swap up his issues?
Yeah, my issues.
AI, okay, all right. Warm round of applause for Alex.
Thank you, Aaron. Like Aaron said, my name is Alex. This is the title of my talk, using MCP and LLMs to slop up my issues. Before I get into the talk itself, I want to highlight some funny news that happened near the end of, last month? May. So there's a UK-based startup called Builder.ai, and their product was a little chatbot that you could describe your application to, and then he'll build your app for you. They stated that they're using LLMs, and it was all done by AI. But in addition to massive amounts of fraud, they were actually powered by biological intelligence. So $1.5 billion just poof. What do you call a ghosted request to build a vibe-coded app? It's an open question to the audience. An HB 541 error. Wah, wah. Okay. So I used two acronyms in my title. The first acronym was LLM. For anyone who's not aware, LLM stands for Large Language Model. Type of AI model that can quote-unquote understand and generate human-like text. Think the first iteration of ChatGPT. Second acronym that I used is MCP, which stands for Model Context Protocol. This thing is about 6 or 7 months old, so ancient history in the time of AI. It's an attempt to standardize how LLMs access and use external APIs. We're not going to go through the nuts and bolts of how to spin up our own MCP server or build one. We're just going to be using some off-the-shelf MCP servers, hooking it into our IDE, and fixing a production 500 server error. So, with that said, let's start prompt engineering. Okay, so can LLMs use Model Context Protocol to help solve an issue with my API? I'll share the slides after this talk, but this is inspired by the excellent Speakeasy MCP tutorial, but I do diverge from it slightly. Okay, these are some of the tools that I'm going to be using. I don't list everything, but I'm using VS Code. There's an extension called Cline. Sentry is a way to kind of capture error logs in production, and GitHub will be serving our repo. I'm going to show you the drastic difference that occurs when you swap out the model that you use to communicate with your MCP server, and how, even when I'm using the correct model, my success rate here has not been 100% doing this offline. So we'll see what happens during the live demo. I'll also state that any API keys or credentials that you see here, I'm going to completely turf them after this talk, so go nuts. All right, so I have a Cloudflare worker. I don't know if you guys can see that text in the top corner, but I expose an API that effectively serves as a calculator. So here, I'm asking as a query parameter, what's 1 + 1? And it returns as the response, 2. It also gives me the LaTeX, so if I do like 2x + 3, and I hit enter, it converts that into 6x, and then I can also pass in arguments, like, I don't know, let's make x equal to 7. The answer is 42. Going back to my slides, yeah, this is another example, 2x + x to the power of 3, where x is equal to 4. The answer to that one is that also 42? Is that a coincidence? Oh, it's 72, sorry. Cool, so I have an endpoint. I can pass in an arbitrary expression. I can pass in parameters. If we want to take a look at the code, that's what this is doing. So my worker is saying, parse out all the URL search parameters. If there's a search parameter called expression, grab that. Everything else should be converted into just this object that I pass into this library called nerdimer, and then just return the result as text or LaTeX as an application JSON object. Cool. So what happens if we try to do a division by 0? What's going to happen? Well, let's find out. Uh-oh. Error 1101, worker through exception. So what this means is Cloudflare tried to run my worker code and it just barfed and returned a 500 server error. That's not good. I would much rather have something returned saying, hey, your expression is invalid with this argument. And we can also open up Sentry. And I can see that the error here occurred 22 seconds ago, saying parse error, division by 0 is not allowed. Okay, so we've set the stage. We have our production web app. We have an issue. Let's get our chatbot to fix it. Fingers crossed. Okay, so going back to my slides, what's the first thing I wanted to do? Code time. All right, before we fix this issue, let's just try adding our code to GitHub. So right now, I have a backup repo that this is pushed to, but if I showcase the tooling that I'm using, within VS Code, there's this extension here called Klein. I think that's like the only relevant extension that I have here. It's telling me to restart it. Oh, that went away. Okay. If you look into, I'm just going to hide that because this is a better view. In terms of the MCP servers, ooh, that's new. It's a huge error. Let's just restart that. Okay, that went away. I have 2 MCP servers that are known to my IDE. One is Sentry, and one is GitHub. I've already configured all of my tokens and did the auth, so I'm not going to show that here. Let's go back to Klein and paste in this command. I want to add this project to GitHub as a new repository. I'm going to hit enter. I'm going to hold my breath. Okay, it's doing a whole ton of stuff. Klein has a question. What would you like to name the new GitHub repository? I would like to name it mcp-llm-talk. Hit enter. What would you like the description of the new? It asks you different questions every time you run this. Talk for dev, Edmonton, Python, JavaScript, Ruby, June 2025. Talk core. Okay, all right. Now, Klein wants to use a tool on the GitHub MPC server, or MCP server. It's trying to create a new GitHub repository in your account. The name is that. That's the description. Private is false. Do I approve it? I click approve. Okay, now it's making a whole ton of API requests using the GitHub MCP server. And once this is done, I'm expecting this to cost me roughly 10 cents. And when I go to GitHub, I'll see that this repository exists. Okay, so looks like it finished, maybe? It's still scrolling. Task completed. You can now view the repository at this link. So I'm going to click that. 404 not found.
Oh, there's a dot.
Yeah, there's a dot.
Ah.
Hey, okay, cool. I probably should have showed that this didn't actually exist beforehand, but yeah, newly created.
It
Okay,
says commit 2 hours ago.
that's because I made the commit 2 hours ago locally,
Okay.
but it just pushed us to the remote now.
Fair enough.
Yeah, so let's go back to the slides. We've established that we have a repo. So that was using the GitHub MCP server. Let's use the Sentry one. So we now have a complex 6-step command that we're gonna tell our IDE to build. So I just copied all that. What is this saying? Fetch the latest issue from Sentry, create a new GitHub issue with a link back to Sentry, with the link back to the Sentry issue and a description. Oh my god, did a chatbot write this? Okay, well that's fine. We can fix this. Let's go here. Okay, so adding a new GitHub repository cost me 6 cents. And then if I go and hit new task, I want to do all these things. Fetch the latest issue. I'm going to fix all these typos here too. Issue with a link. Fix the bug based on the issue from Sentry. Commit your changes in a new branch with an appropriate message referencing Sentry and the GitHub issue. Push your branch to GitHub. Open a pull request with reference to the GitHub issue. Hit enter. And hold my breath. Okay, find issues. Saying, find issues in Sentry. Use this tool when you need to Okay, I approve that. You're allowed to use the Sentry MCP server. Error, it looks like there was a problem communicating with the Sentry API. Please report the following to the user or the Sentry team. Great. So that failed, and now it's asking what is the organization slug for the Sentry API? Okay, let's go back to Sentry. And this is my organization slug. So I'm going to paste that back in here. Hit enter. Okay, now it's going to fetch the issues. Okay, let's slow down a little bit and back up and see what it tried to do. So it queried Sentry to get all the issues. It found these issues here. It's saying it found this parse error division by 0 not allowed. It also found some other issues that existed because I was poking around with this API before, saying there's an additional type error, there's this weird operator error. You can get these errors just by changing the search params that you pipe in. I can show that later. Anyways, found the issues. It's saying that the latest issue is MCP LLM talk-2, which is this one, the division by 0 is not allowed. Now it is using the GitHub MCP server to create a new issue in the GitHub repository. Sure, that's what I want. I'll click approve. Whoa. I'm gonna show my face. Okay, well, that's my face. Now it's making the API request. And fingers crossed, once this is done, we'll go back to GitHub. Actually, let's go to GitHub now. Refresh. Oh, now there's one issue. Wonder what the contents of this issue is. This issue addresses the division by 0 error reported in Sentry. For more details, see the Sentry issue. Cool, it linked to my Sentry issue. Okay, awesome. Created my issue. That's exactly what I wanted. Okay, I have successfully created a new GitHub issue. The issue number is 1. I will now fix the bug based on the issue from Sentry. Okay, now client is using the Sentry MCP server to get the details of said issue. Again, I'll approve it. Okay, it's pulling all of the issues. Now it wants to edit this index.ts file. Okay, that is not right. That is, okay, all right. LLMs, man. Okay, the MCP server successfully returned the details of the issue. The LLM wants to modify the index.ts file saying if the expression is equal to 0, it'll just throw a new parse error, but the parse error doesn't even exist. Okay. Client wants, so how do I yell at this and say that that's not right?
You type what you want it to do and hit reject.
That is not right. Please make the
These actually.
yeah, let's make this a group exercise. How should I threaten minstrel? Just make this not return a 500 server error, please. Enter. Okay, let's try it. Now it's saying, make
it 200.
EXPR equals 0.
Well, it's your fault.
Is there a difference between save and reject, and would that actually affect it?
Okay.
It's done, it confirms it.
Alright, okay, this looks slightly better. I'm still gonna fix this manually some more. It's wrapping the nerdimer function call in a try-catch block, and then it's doing some weird check on error, even though error.message is not type say. Okay, yeah. Don't just wrap this in a try-catch and return a 400 of some kind. Don't try to evaluate the error object. Enter. Hey. And move the return response with the result into the try block. So this is syntactically. So this is syntactically. I can't spell. Correct. Okay, does that look good? Result. Result equals nerdimer. That's in the try block. If that's successful, just return the response. Catch error. Return the response JSON.stringify. An error has occurred while processing the request. Status is 400. Headers, content type, application, JSON. Finally, okay, I wouldn't approve this, but safe.
We should have tried to do that.
Okay, all right. So it created a new branch. Git checkout b branch fix division by 0. Wants to run that command. That's the commit message. It wants to push to origin, and that is what this will pass to GitHub MCP server to create a new pull request, and I'll approve that. Okay, did a whole ton of stuff. Okay, let's see the new changes, and this is flickering a lot. Stop flickering. Okay, continue flickering. That's fine. I'll just click the see new changes button. Okay, so that's the code changes that I made, and if I go back to GitHub and I refresh, I see a new pull request. It's fixed division by 0 error, and the file's changed exactly what was shown up in my editor. Awesome.
Nice.
Yeah. This is not that bad, guys. Like, I've seen it do a lot worse. And this only cost 15 cents.
Wow.
These LLMs, they pay for themselves, am I right? Okay, so that's cool. Sure, why not? Let's just merge this in. I don't have CI enabled on this branch, so I'm just gonna click merge, and then that's been merged in, and then I'm gonna go back to my terminal, and I'm gonna do git pull view origin, git pull origin main. Yes, yeah, okay. The last commit was this merge pull request, which contains this fixed division by 0 error. And now I will deploy this to production. Let's just do that, and then npm run deploy. Cool, so using, again, Cloudflare workers, this is just the Wrangler deploy command, and there's some additional follow-up steps to upload my source map for Sentry. So that has been uploaded to prod. Now if I go back to here, this is that divide by 0 error. If I refresh, hey, now returns a 400, so LLMs did fix, it slopped up my issue. Alright. Okay, let's go back to my slides. So, now what happens if we use a different model? I don't want to pay 10 cents to do something that would have taken me 2 seconds. I want to host a LLM locally and ask it to, let's add a new endpoint. First, I'm going to update my client instance to change my model provider. So here, current model provider is Minstrel, or Mistral. Let's use Ollama. For people who aren't aware of what Ollama is, it's a way to run these LLMs locally. You can download a binary, very easy, and search all the models that exist here. Let's just find one that has tools that is reasonably cheap. Qwen 3. Yeah, let's do this Qwen 3 HB. So I'm going to go back to my terminal and run ollama pull Qwen 3 HB. I probably should have done this beforehand because this is going to take ages on the shared Wi-Fi that the public library is providing us. So I'm going to Control-C out of that. I have 2 models here listed. So if I do ollama list, there is the Devstrel 24 billion and the DeepSeek R1 8 billion parameter model. The Devstrel one, I can serve it, but if we try to run any code using Devstrel, we will be staring at the screen at a loading spinner for about 5 minutes before anything even gets written. And the DeepSeek R1 has not been fine-tuned to use the MCP tooling. But let's just try it anyways, because we can. So if I go back here, and I change this to use DeepSeek R1, and click Save, let's add a new task. Add a new endpoint that capitalizes my search parameters and returns this as a JSON payload. Make this a new branch and open up a PR. I'm telling you guys right now, and also I need to serve. Serve. Ollama serve. Address is already in use. Okay, I'm going to kill that. Then I'm going to run Ollama serve. And then go back here. And I'm going to hey, that still worked. That's amazing. Okay. This is the DeepThink R1, and it does a whole ton of thinking before it actually does anything. And this is not actually fine-tuned to use tools. So what I'm expecting is after this is done thinking, Klein will respond back saying, bad chatbot, you didn't format this in the MCP tool protocol structure. And then it's just going to complain back and forth until it times out or my retry counter blows up. But it's really thinking hard. Like you can see, yeah, it looks like it's creating an object. It looks like it's iterating through my query parameter. That's not the correct syntax for the web worker request parameter. So, and it thinks a long time. Like we're not even using Express, but it's like if we are using Express, we should import here. I just look at this and I get really sad. I'm like, Klein says that was bad. But that's all I want to see. That's like somewhat generating some half-decent test cases.
But it's free.
And it's free. Yeah, it's running locally. So all of the slop here, this is free slop. There's no text. Multiple. Let's check for the key text. It's really going off the rails. Okay. Well.
Are you using Express?
No.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can talk about while this thing is thinking. I can actually describe what's going on. So, again, this is like 40 lines of code without comments. We're using a Cloudflare worker that's exposing one file with one default export. This sentry.withSentry thing, if you get rid of that and just put this async fetch in a default export, it'll still work fine. I'm hoping that it could just add in like
Unintended. It's just killing me.
an if path name starts with API/capitalize, return the search parameters with the payload capitalized, but I have no idea why it is really going off the rails here. I think I needed to be more specific with the prompt and say, don't think too hard. Yeah, please.
When you're prompting in Klein, you can type the @ symbol and give it a file to read, and it will read that file and analyze it before it goes off the rails.
Oh, awesome. Can I hit the cancel and just tell it to do that? Yeah, so cancel. And then let's go back here and then do that. And yeah, so you're absolutely right. Let's pass in the file and let's go source index.js. And then let's send it. Hopefully it'll think less.
We'll see.
Hopefully it'll even like work. That looks okay. Sometimes maybe we'll return that 541 error that we were talking about earlier.
Can I ask why you chose Mistral as your LLM?
Yeah. Why am I using this Klein extension? Right? Was that the question?
No, Mistral, you chose.
Oh, Mistral. I used that because that is the recommended LLM from that Speakeasy tutorial that I linked into this slide. I've also had decent success plugging it into Google's LLM offering. Yeah, this is just going to fail. So we're going to stop that. The whole point of this was to show that this is very sensitive to what model that you pass in, and if you don't choose the exact right model and prompt it just the right way, you're going to get a whole bunch of crap. All right. What did we learn? LLMs can be used to automate mundane tasks like issue, triage, and bug fixing. MCP does provide some standardized mechanism for LLMs to access external data. And the combination of LLMs and MCP can help developers be more productive, but huge asterisk, parentheses sometimes. Really, I just use it to autocomplete when I'm coding, and I almost never, at least at this current point, use this for anything heavy or complex. Yeah, thanks.
You're happy to take some questions?
Sure, have it in the slide.
Great.
Yeah, if there's any questions about what's going on here,
Yeah, on your left there, Alex.
please.
So, you're using client. Does that automatically capture whichever LLM you've downloaded onto your computer? Because you're running DeepSeek, which I was having the same issues with it just endlessly prompting. Have you also tried like Devstral yet? Or which do you find is the best Olama for assisting with code?
Okay, so this is the Mac M4. I think it has like 32 gigs of RAM. Yeah, 32 gigs of RAM. The recommended coding supported model from Olama is Devstral 24B. I have this loaded here, and I just want to show you what happens to my activity monitor when I try to run this. So right now, something is hogging up a ton of memory. Physical memory, 32 gigs, memory use, 28 gigs of RAM. It's saying Olama is contributing 4.71 of that. Where's the rest of it?
You won't be able to find it because it captures.
It's hidden? Okay. Well, it doesn't change what I'm about to show you, which is absolutely bonkers. So I'm going to stop that. I'm going to go back to here. I'm going to change this using the Devstral 24B model. And my context window is still going to be small. The site says that you can bump this to 128K. Right now we're just doing 16K. I'm going to click save. Just going to go back here. Okay, that's serving. Go back here. I'm just going to say hi. And I'm going to hit send.
Activity monitor.
And then we're going to open up Activity Monitor. And if this thing is working, I can't zoom in here. Live demos.
What's supposed to happen?
This thing is supposed to spike to about 21 gigs, and then this thing is supposed to hang. And right now, this is just hanging.
Yeah, it hung before you could even show it hanging. Okay.
I know. It's
Curse of the
the
live demo.
pre-hang.
Yep.
Unable to show the, but yeah, it hasn't been amazing. I'll put it that way. And it might be different with the different integrated like AI editors, like I don't know, Cursor was shown earlier. There's Windsurf, but honestly, I haven't had a ton of luck here. Client instance aborted. What happens if I just try not like? Did it?
Because I wonder if you have to
Reuse
restart
that?
your Olama.
Oh, I can do that. Okay, Control C. Olama's dead. Olama's live.
Yeah, let's just see.
Go back here. Let's just close that. Let's open up client again. And let's go hi. Tell me if my code is pretty. Enter. Still thinking. Oh, Olama's here. It just popped up. 5 gigs of memory.
You can increase the sample rate of Activity Monitor if you go into the View menu. I
Okay.
think.
View.
And then you go to update frequency, third choice. And then you go like very often.
Oh, it finished.
Oh.
Your code is pretty. Great job.
It took forever.
How long did that take?
I was trying to buy some time. That was probably like 20-30 seconds.
Anyways,
Anyways,
LLMs, man.
yeah. I don't feel threatened anymore. I think my job's still fairly secure.
It's still trying to make an API request
Yeah.
for something, but I have no idea what.
Awesome.
Anyways,
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, if anyone has any follow-up questions, I will have to move the night along. But another warm round of applause for Alex.
Thank you.